I loved the first season, so I am happy that I can say I love the second season as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. These characters in the show are so fun. And I'm curious for both of you. I mean, because this show was not based on source material and no one knew who these characters would be or what to expect from them, the audience went into the first season with no expectations. So when did you realize how much of a success the show had become and that it was connecting with audiences globally?
Probably like right after the trailer of season 1 came out, like before the show even came out. When the promos and the trailer came out, all of our following skyrocketed, and we were all getting messages from people saying that they were dying to see the show and that this was exactly the kind of show they've been waiting for their whole lives. And when I saw the response we were getting just from the trailer, I was like, okay, this, hopefully it lives up to its expectations, but this is something that is clearly so special and so needed right now. And then of course, when the show came out and it, became a global success almost overnight, it was just so incredible and such an honor for us as being part of this show.
For me, it was when white people pronounced our names correctly. That meant like the level of respect and the level of like trying to, get something right. Because our names are so butchered. It's not even funny. Like I respond to anything that sounds vaguely starts with a P. So when they really took the time, I really felt like, God, the show must have really resonated. Like they must have thought it was an important show, We were all in quarantine, so I certainly had no fan interaction at all, except for obviously Instagram. But there were definitely a couple of comments which really made me understand that people were watching things very differently. Like the fact that the South Asian dad, that Mohan shows up as a loving presence in Devi's life and a present parent. I didn't even pick up on that when in the writing, but people were just yearning to be seen and to see different representations of what South Asians could look like.
There is something for everyone in the show. It's easy to find something and someone to connect to. What do you most connect to with it? Is it something directly related to your own character? Is it something related to something else on the show?
I would say I relate to kind of a combination of all of the family's characters. Unlike Kamala, I did not grow up in India. I grew up here more like Devi. But that being said, there's so much with Kamala that I do relate to as a young South Asian woman, who did feel a lot of pressure to get married and, is somebody who feels like, I think both Kamala and I feel, and I don't know if this is just a South Asian thing, but both of us have really high expectations of ourselves, and we feel like we have to be the perfect child, the perfect sibling, the perfect whatever it is that we set out to do. And we are both really ambitious and we go after what we want, but then at the same time we have this disease to please. And I think that is kind of a cultural thing where we feel like we have to fulfill these expectations and make people happy, but that gets in the way of our own happiness. But then I also completely related to so much of Devi's character, growing up in this country. And, she says it in the first season, somebody says, I'm not Indian enough. And then the other person says, I'm too Indian, but all I want to do is eat a donut. And I have felt that way many times in my life.
I agree. I find a lot of myself in a lot of characters. I am nothing like Nalini in real life. And yet there's something about, like, Nalini is ancient for me. It is how it's the non sequiturs that my mother spouts. It's what my, the way that my stepfather used to speak and my uncles, which make no sense. And, the thing that I did with her character is say the lines really quickly. Like everything comes out of her mouth really quickly. There's no thinking. And, she just knows parenting advice. She just knows it right away. She knows what she wants. She knows what she thinks, even if it makes it's nonsensical. And it's kind of the kind of parent, the South Asian parenting that there's no middle ground. There's zero middle ground, and she's my aunt. She's my mom. She's a composite of all these wonderful women that I've grown up with, and I enjoy bringing that aspect.
I love that Nalini gets a bit of a love interest this season, and that it's in the form of Common, because who doesn't want Common as a love interest? So what was it like to give her a romantic storyline in season 2, especially, she's still grieving? What was it like to get to play all of that?
I mean, I just wish all the common scenes were actually for HBO instead of Netflix. I mean, they're totally different.
To be a very different show.
And just for that section, we could just hop over. It was wonderful. He's so hot and so nice and so like generous and so compassionate. I really never, never quite met someone like him. And it was wonderful to be acting opposite him. And I think Dr. Vishwakumar and Dr. Jackson, I didn't realize that until Kamala stepped into the role, that Nalini feels seen probably for the first time in a way that even Mohan couldn't professionally. She values what she does so much. And here's Dr. Jackson who's like, God, you did that? I'm jealous. You did that. And so I loved exploring that aspect of her. I hope there's a lot more where that came from.
How did you find him as a scene partner? Because
I'm telling you, I probably have if I dig down deep enough, I probably have a hard time with goodbyes. I as a child, I moved around and saying goodbye was like terrifying. But the scene where I break up with Common, I mean, it's not because it's Common and like it would make any woman weep breaking up, but the scene where I have to say goodbye to Dr. Jackson was a excruciatingly hard scene for both of us to film. I mean, the whole crew was crying every take. It was just, there was this possibility that Nalini could have a little joy, and no one's ready. The show is about how do you move forward and not necessarily move on. And it's an exploration of that aspect of grief. And it was really heartbreaking to shoot that beautiful scene.
Yeah, there's something so centered about him that it's such an interesting balance to her.
Yeah, exactly.
Risha, I love that Kamala is really sort of having the same issue in her professional life as she's having in her personal life. She's learning how to stand up for herself and speak up about what she actually wants. Totally. What was it like for you to go on that journey with her as she found her own voice in both aspects of her life?
Well, it's definitely something that I would say I'm, as a person in real life, also on a journey with, learning how to use my own voice and to take up space and to not be afraid to ask for what I deserve and for what I want. So there was a lot of catharsis happening with playing Tamla in this season. And I think it was a journey for both of us, but I just thought it was so much fun to do this because, season 1, she's more there as a foil to Devi's character. Whereas in this season, she's learning to be more like Devi and to channel her own inner rage and be a badass and be a rebel, just like Devi is. So it was so much fun. And I hope we get to see more of that if and when we have a season 3.
At the end of the season, we see her literally run away from the life that she's expected to live.
Yeah.
So what do you hope is next for her? I mean, she shows up at teacher karaoke, but we don't know where that goes from there.
Yeah, we don't know where that goes.
By the way.
Yeah, we don't know where it goes. I don't know where it's going to go, but I don't think that she ran away because she's over Prashant and she doesn't want to be with him anymore. I think it was just all of the pressure she's been feeling collectively from her work and from this relationship and from her family. It's just getting to a boiling point where she's already lost her shit at the lab, and now I think she's still like kind of on a high or on an adrenaline rush from that. And she's like, I'm gonna mess everything up now. And she gets a little bit of confidence from, when she loses her shit at the lab. So I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go, but I hope to see her be able to just make decisions for herself and continue on this path of using her voice and standing up for herself and what she wants.
I just love that moment of her literally running away, because who hasn't thought about doing that at some point?
And she did it.
It's so great that Kamala, of all people, ended up doing that.
In a fully clad sari and jewelry and a lot of heaviness happening, and barefoot, because she's barefoot when she's at home. So when we filmed it, I think we had as a character choice, she grabbed house slippers So she runs away in her house slippers and goes to karaoke night.
Do you guys have your own personal wish list of what you would like to see still with your characters, things you would like to learn about them or explore with them?
I would love to see, actually for both Nalini and Kamala, I would love to see a flashback of when Nalini, well, we kind of already saw this with Nalini, but I guess more so for Kamala, then I would love to see a flashback of Kamala before she moves to the US and her family. I would love to see who her family is and why she is the way that she is. And she mentions in season 2 that she has 3 sisters. I would love to meet her sisters and see what they're all about. And, if they're like Devi or if they're more like Kamala. Just to see more of Kamala's backstory, I think would be awesome.
My ideas would be so insipid next to what the writers come up with. It's one of the most brilliant writers' room I have ever come across in my entire life. So what they have cooking for us and, is 100 times. I too, like Richa, would love to see what Mohan and Nalini's life was like, when before Devi was born or as Devi was a child. I'd love to understand how Nalini, her work-life balance is this gorgeous scene between Mohan and Nalini where Mohan cannot support her at an award ceremony. He's unable to because he's so insecure. Just explore that dynamic more. And that's what I'd love.
John McEnroe narrates Davy's life. If you could have any famous person narrate your life, who would you? Huh?
Mindy Kaling.
She said it before I could. She knows I'm going to say the same thing.
I'm just trying to sabotage Richa on this.
Okay, fine. If I had to say somebody else strictly because of the voice, I just love her voice. It's Scarlett Johansson, because when she did her, I just loved her voice.
It seems like Mindy would definitely have some good insight to add if she were narrating both of your lives.
Yeah, she's a great voiceover artist, and her comedic timing is unmatchable. And she's so different from both Nalini and Kamala, so the contrast would be hilarious. Yeah. Is there a quality in your character that you wish you had? Oh, Kamala's just so nice. Obviously, she has, her limits and her boundaries, and we see more of that in season 2, but she's just such a nice, optimistic person. She's the kind of person that truly sees the glass half full. So I would love to have a little bit of more of that quality in my life.
Nalini really holds it together. And she is, she's strict, but she really holds it together. She doesn't like to show emotion. And a lot of times it's really hard for me to speak because I get so emotional. So I like that quality of hers. I wish I had a little bit more of that. Well, I love these characters. I love the show. They're so fun. I always, when I watch it, I feel like if Devi doesn't want to be at family dinner, I'll come join them. I mean, they just seem like they'd be the most fun. So the food is always great too. Yeah. It seems like if she doesn't want to have a good time, I'll go hang out with her family. So come join us. Thank you. We really will. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nice to meet you.